worth thinking about. So I will turn it back over to Rebecca to close.
Okay, thank you so much, John. I just wanted to briefly say that this has been very instructive, and I hope it's helped you all. I have, as a housekeeping thing, information on all the participants present and their contact information. So it's our hope that this conversation would continue beyond the close of this meeting. But with that, I would like to remind us we opened with some comments from Dr. Laquette, and I'd like to invite Dr. John Davison to give some closing remarks.
Thanks, Rebecca. I don't do a good Dr. Laquette, but I'll do my best. I know that he would have found these last day and a half very interesting and engaging if he could have stayed. It was a very interesting and helpful format, I think. I know I was wondering if maybe you considered more of a town hall format like the presidential debates, but we've already seen enough of that, I'm sure, in the last week. But this has been extremely instructive for me and for my colleagues and folks that I've been speaking with over the last day and a half. And again, we hope this is just the beginning of the dialogue. I just wanted to reiterate a point that Allison made. I think you're talking about PTSD, and we've seen a lot of parallels between the state of science with TBI and treatment of TBI, as well as with PTSD, even though I know a lot of folks in the TBI world don't like to make comparisons to behavioral health, but it really was many years before we got to a point now in PTSD treatment where we are using or trying to implement manualized treatment approaches. It took, again, external scrutiny and pressure from things like the Dana Priest article to say, hey, VA, DoD, what are you doing? Why aren't you using the most evidence-based treatment approaches? So just to reiterate what I mentioned before about who owns this, as John was saying about researchers all kind of having a different particular interest from the science, perspective, from basic to applied to health services research, we have the same issue in our bureaucratic system, and the onus is on us to overcome that. All the different offices I mentioned, centers of excellence, research offices, clinical proponency offices, which is where I work and Dori Rogert works, we're all touching different parts of the elephant. And as I think we're doing, I hope we're doing with many of the psychological health issues, we can also help get better coordinated in terms of TBI. Dr. Rausch and Colonel Castro couldn't be here today, but I did speak with them yesterday, and they are involved in our military health research program, and they were, very clear about what they feel they need, and they said, what's going to get us to that clinical practice guideline? And and I have a packet of, I know what we are funding now in terms of cognitive rehabilitation therapy for TBI. It's 6 studies, several $1 million, and they reminded me that there's going to be a program announcement next year. So hopefully we can make a more informed program announcement about what DoD should focus its research efforts on based on the proceedings of not only the first IOM study, which was wonderful, but also this follow-on study. So in terms of recommendations, I think this is interesting because there's been another IOM study released last month on Armed Forces treatment of substance use disorders. And that was very prescriptive. I know we can't prescribe specific or endorse specific treatments, specific research, but I think it's worth thinking about, well, what are the most constructive within the guidelines of what the relationship is between IOM and DoD? What would be most constructive in kind of moving this forward? Given that X types of interventions appear to have promise in X domain, with X level of severity, what types of studies should be focused on to move that forward. So maybe it's a matter of wording, but I also want to reiterate Dr. Laquette's point about our commitment to our service members, with TBI, be it mild to moderate to severe, whether it's with comorbidities or not. We are very committed to helping them, and I think, as I said, the onus is on us to help advance the state of this field, as I feel we are now doing with PTSD and battlefield medicine and so many other clinical issues that DoD and VA have the ability to help with. I want to thank everyone who's been involved in pulling this together, the planners, Rebecca, Rick Ertman. It was all the many meetings that we had to talk about what's the best format, who should come, how should we do this. I want to thank everyone on the planning committee. I want to thank our speakers, Barbara Vickery, Marcel, John, and also our moderators, Dr. Kennedy, Dr. Thompson, thank you. And I want to thank Doria Roget on my team, who's been local champion and making sure that this meeting could be as productive as possible. And mostly I'd like to thank you, Dr. White, for being our academic guide in this process, and it's been wonderful. I felt like I was back in grad school deconstructing those studies. It was great. Thank you. So thanks, everybody. And please, again, as Dr. Laquette said, our door is open. Please feel free to contact us. We can talk. That's legal. And we're always open to input and suggestions. Thank you.